Ladies and gents, how you doing? Right, I've just come in from work. It's pretty late, so I'm just for fun gonna go over some of the best, worst comments from the hundreds I received on my last video, imaginatively entitled "New Census Data Proves the UK is Doomed." Turns out it annoyed the woke because it contained a reasonable, logical approach towards immigration. Turns out the woke people don't like that because presumably everybody being happy annoys them because their entire ideology, as you I'm sure know, is based around cultivating resentment and bitterness and envy and spite. Because only when you manage to fan those flames for long enough do you finally get the glorious revolution where everybody dies, the streets are filled with skulls, and it's not actually very glorious. But hey, they've tried communism dozens of times before, and every time they try it, everybody dies or starves to death. But that hasn't dampened their enthusiasm. Why would mere logic from me do the same? So let's just read some comments, because I started replying to all of these by typing, and after 3 or 4, I realised it'd be much easier, much faster, and much funnier if I simply addressed these lunatics in a video. Let's get started, shall we? That's a good one to start with. Look on the bright side. Sheffield steel knife sales are up. Winner, winner. There's nothing like importing a few young, physically fit, stabby Somalians to help shift some more knives. So I admire Mr. BS there. He's a glass half full type of guy. TLD71 says, "You are manipulated into thinking human beings born in another country are your enemy. Any problems we have in this country are down to a hopeless government and a system that doesn't value ordinary people. Sadly, all I see here is blatant racism and ignorant opinion." So you didn't watch the video then, did you? Basically, you must have just read the title and then went, "No, actually, if I put a rat in a shoebox and upended it on my keyboard, it would type a more sensible, coherent sentence than that shite you've just made me read." Ignorant. Ignorant. I know more about politics, economics, and basic geography and logistics than any 20 Guardian readers. The video wasn't even about the race of the people coming at any point. I made it specifically and said I wouldn't want 7.5 million Dutch blokes turning up in a 10-year period. Do you think the third world is ever going to run out of people? If you make the argument we can handle 10 million people in 10 years, what about 20 million people in 10 years? Because it's only going to go up. What about 30? What about 50? Are they going to run out of people if they send us 50 million? No. You need schools, houses, hospital beds, roads, dentists, doctors, bin men, sewage workers, vegetables, meat, dairy products. The list goes on and on and on and on. And if you don't think this directly affects the quality of life of working class people, you are a maniac. You can't do basic maths. It's not even a difficult argument to have. If you can't see that 10 million people moving to a country in 10 years way faster than they can supply and provide products and services to those people, you've got the IQ of a pull-along duck, and you don't deserve any more of my time. Captain Dogshit. So, jog on. Jamie Morrison, funny, those hospitals and schools you mentioned would not run if it not for UK-born workers. This one sounds almost as special as that fat middle-class Guardian reader who went on Question Time and said, "Who's going to serve our coffee in Pret?" We are. 66 million people? We will. I was carrying sheet metal on the roof covered in coal dust in the rain, and you're telling me what? I won't wipe tables down? I've done that job. Working class British people will do those jobs. When you go up north, my soft, southern, shandy drinking shit for brains friend, there's far less foreigners. Do we have bakeries? Do we have hospitals? Do we have nurses? Yes. Going to James Cook Hospital, one of the biggest hospitals in Europe, almost everyone in there in Middlesbrough is from Middlesbrough. I know about 10 nurses that work there. We've got about 6 mates that work there. We will do those jobs. The idea that we need foreigners when we've got millions of unemployed, underemployed, disabled, and homeless, and you think we can't train those people to be nurses or teachers or clerical workers or administrative employees for local government, again, you're a maniac. I don't know what to tell you other than go and read some long books, preferably not The Gruffalo or The Very Angry Ladybird or whatever the fuck it is counts as high class literature to the perpetually brain dead that read The Guardian and the BBC. I mean, I only read the BBC for comedy value, and my IQ drops 10 points every time I'm forced to endure it. And I've done resistance to interrogation training. Reading the BBC is more uncomfortable to me than when they put a bin liner over my head and strapped some electrodes to my testicles. Thomas Mulroney says, in the event the British economy was performing at anything like the 5th largest economy in the world, relative full employment would exist, thereby silencing race chants. It wasn't a chant. Do you know what a chant is? It's the economy, stupid. Put the people, all of the people, to work. It's the economy, stupid. Someone like Thomas calling me stupid is every single kettle in the cosmos calling a magic planet-sized pot black. Do you believe in endless growth, infinity, to infinity and beyond? It's the economy, stupid. Yes, economies are finite, resources are finite, space is finite. Working off this bollocks, we could just invite another 100 million people over, and as long as they're all working, everything's dandy. We already have an oversized public sector because we're creating jobs out of nothing, miracling them out of our collective arseholes to duke the statistics for the government. It's not just about the economy, it's about space. You do understand the concept of finite space, don't you? If we lived in a country the size of America, maybe you could make a better argument as to why we can endlessly accept tens of millions of migrants. But considering the whole of England fits inside one US state, I think you need to go and read a basic geography book before you start on fucking macroeconomics. Just go and do GCSE geography for a year and then come back to me, Thomas. Yeah? Cheers, mate. Riff Groove, how to tell us you're racist without actually admitting you're racist. Yeah, I've got a massive problem with the Dutch. Those tall, handsome, pale, blue-eyed people. Yeah, mega, yeah, I hate them. I hate them. This is just a classic example of a Guardian reader. Don't say anything. Just call people names. And look, he couldn't even manage it when I tried to coax an answer out of him. This is why you haven't won an election in 12 years, because you never make a point or an argument. Don't like your own comments. It just makes you look needy and desperate. I haven't, have I? Have I? Did that? No. No, there you go. Looks like I hadn't. So, not an answer. Still no arguments then. Go and read a few long books and come back to me when you actually know something. Lol, I didn't need to make a point. You made it for me quite succinctly. Fuck me backwards. Rab C. Nesbitt taught more sense than that, and his blood type was 4.2% ABV. You need to stay off the drink, kidder, if you think anyone reading that back and forth thinks to themselves, yeah, Riff Groove sure showed him. Honestly, John Fetterman talks more sense than this fella, and you've all heard him speak. Christ, is at the time, I just ramble. When I'm angry, I can't help it. It's impossible for me to be succinct. I'll do one more. Well, perhaps the UK shouldn't have colonised other countries. You reap what you sow. Do you? That doesn't sound very progressive, does it? What you're basically saying there is, because I disagree with what happened 200 years ago, nobody alive today has the right to seek happiness for the families and the children. Nobody has the right to not live like they're crammed inside a giant arsehole. You haven't got any idea what you're talking about either, and you don't sound very liberal to me. You sound like you're some sort of religious zealot, espousing some sort of original sin, like your great-great-great-great-great-great-granddad was an arsehole. So into the gulag with you. Yeah, cheers, Kim Jong. I didn't know Kim Jong could speak English, but apparently he's on English YouTube, calling himself Mr. Jew Delicious. What a wanker. Anyway, I think that'll do you for a laugh. I'll be doing a live stream at 7 p.m. UK on Monday. Thanks for all your support, ladies and gentlemen. I appear to have escaped Suza's shit list, at least for the last 24 hours. Who knows why? Maybe Elon Musk's rubbing off on them all, eh? We can but hope. Thanks very much. See you all soon. Toodle pip.